So you get into West Point. Tell us about that, because all the service academies have their own culture.
Mhm.
You saw a formation, you saw the structure, and you're like, "This is for me. That's where I want to go." How was it? How was West Point? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so as hard as it was to get into West Point, it was much more difficult to graduate and get through West Point. Because
No
as you know,
doubt.
we lose you lose one of it out of every four. And we joke, a dear friend of mine, my roommate the last couple of years there, still a dear friend. I talked to him this weekend actually because his San Diego State Aztecs have advanced to the Final Four, and he actually did a couple of years at San Diego State before he joined the West Point team. But just 1,432 days of highs and lows.
Not that
More
you're
highs.
counting, right? Like,
Yeah, not that we
you
were
do you
counting,
all,
right?
like, set a clock the minute you get there? Like,
That's
only
right.
1,232 days
It's
left.
a few days, few journey, but no, I mean, my experience was by and large fantastic. Like I said, I got up there; it was the right spot for me to be. Meeting some incredibly talented folks from all over the country, developing friendships and bonds. I think I had the fundamentals and the core traits to be a good teammate. What I didn't have was, hey, I'm not that big a deal anymore. Because you can be a big deal in a small town and realize that you're not that big a deal. So all that was fantastic, and I wasn't like I was driven to become an aviator. In fact, I actually thought about being an infantryman or armor officer, and then junior year I took a test for aviation and thought, okay, well that worked out pretty well. So um, played baseball, like I said, for a couple of years, for 3 years up there, and that was brought its own set of challenges, and frankly more struggles than joy, because at that level it is very much a job when you're balancing
Right.
your time and those kind of things. But still great teammates and folks that I still see around today. So um, learned a lot, grew a lot, and became much more humble through the process. There's nothing like taking a test and thinking, yeah, I did very, very well. And, or turning a paper in and say, this is the best paper you're ever going to see in your life. And you get back 150 comments on it that says maybe you're not so great after all.
Yeah,
So,
that'll definitely, break you down a little bit and make you a little bit more humble, and we put this picture back up, Greg. I love this. This was your grandmother, you said, and you
yeah,
and your
yeah.
West
So
Point
she's,
mentor?
it's a big part of the story. Obviously, she passed in 2006, but as a very young kid in Connecticut, I spent a lot of summers as 8, 9, 10-year-old kid over her house, and she was a no nonsense. She may only be 4'10", but she had the stature of a 6'10" lady, and no nonsense. Very much the standard is the standard, and taught me some critical lessons about just growing up, but at the same time, incredibly loving and caring, and always taking care of. I can imagine. I can only imagine the number of people she bored at breakfast talking about me at West Point when I had gotten there. All her friends.
So I'm sure she was super proud, to talk about you. Um, I'm sure you learned so many lessons at West Point. I'm sure they had a lot of different kind of mottos or, sayings as well. Is there anything, from your time at West Point, when you think about this idea of humble preparation and, you know, execution, that kind of jumps out as something that stuck with you, and that you still use today?
Yeah, so obviously everybody's very familiar with the honor code, right? And being have the utmost integrity. For me, it translates forward to being trustworthy, and being trustworthy in any walk of life. And that's pretty simple and sounds very benign, but it's very, very powerful. And I can translate that to whether it's a boss I worked for, or whether it's a situation I was put in where I had to earn trust rapidly, or whether I was willing to put the work in to prepare so that if a question was asked of me, right, that not number one, that I only had the answer, but number two, I had the courage to speak the truth, whether it was convenient or not. And as we get older, and certainly as I got older through the Pentagon and some engagements there were some very inconvenient truths that had to be told, at my expense, frankly, and that's okay, right? Because if I put the work in, and I'm trustworthy, and I'm innovative in my approach, and I can evolve and be precise in my communications, then I can live with that at the end. And really, that's all that's asked, right? And I said, we talk about the long gray line, and we talk about being a part of that. I had said on graduation day, whatever happens in this military journey, I don't know if I'm going to do 5 years, 20 years, 26 years, whatever it is, I'm going to discharge the duties in a manner that is expected of somebody of the long gray line. And, not easier said than done.